like I expect to like all of you to submit this. So there's a way, like it's just not just the creating the file, it's about the presenting the file as well. Like suppose you want to modify and like pose this character, so there is an entire process to it, like how to pose the character and how to render it out. So I'll explain that thing quickly, and after that I'll explain the how to start your character. So we're going to start this character and how to like block out and how to go about it and break up this entire thing. So we'll do that. So just because every time you have to present your character, also you have to submit, and you should know how to render out your model from ZBrush, and that to good quality, high quality renders. Just 1 second. Okay. Like
Sir,
in
in which software we can render the realistic renders?
realistic render depends. Like realistic render is basically setup. So you can use Max, you can use Maya, you can use Keyshot, you can use V-Ray. Yeah, so there's so many softwares out there, so you can use any of them. It's all about setting your file properly, lighting it properly, and then render it out. Right? So like lighting and your like shaders, all those things matter. You can use Marmoset, you can use Unreal, everything. You can use anything. So it's all about like your shader, your materials, and the kind of texture you have created. All those things matters. And lighting, like lighting setup, all those things plays a very important role. So, like suppose I have created this. So, suppose I want to now this particular file you have, it consists of three different subtools. But suppose I want to pose this mode. I want to like from top you can see it's a flat character. There's no turn. There's nothing. So suppose I want to create a like this thing. One second. Yes, I have opened it. Where it is? Right. Like this guy, this one. So I want to create some pose out of this character, so you can do this thing very easily within ZBrush. So it's very simple, not very difficult, and you just need to follow the process. I just switch on my keyboard thing. Now, so suppose once you're done with your character, like whatever you want to do, want to create, you want to like blocked out, or if you want to create your model in a posed thing, then also you can use this technique. So how to pose your model? For that, you can go to Z plug, and under this there's an option called, where is my transpose master. With the help of this transpose master, you can pose your model. So what you have to do is you have to click on this T pose mesh. It will merge your all the models and go to the lowest subdivision level which is available, and then copy merge everything and create a file. There's no polypen, nothing. You see, nothing is there. Everything is gone. It's just a file. So once you have this file, you can pose your uh, entire model very easily. And for posing the ZBrush, like posing, moving, creating things, for everything you have to mask and rotate, modify things. Sharp, and I want to create a rotation in his body. I can select that, and I can smooth the mask. If you go to masking, you can see you have the mask option blur, or if you just simply press Control, click on the model. Both are exactly same command. Control, click on the model, left mouse button, or just blur the mask. So it will create a very soft, gentle transition between mask to non-mask area. So I just blur it a bit more. Then after that, like suppose I want to like even more, I want to soften this thing out. So what I can do is Control click outside, flip the mask, blur mask, couple of times, press 2 3 4 times, 10 times, then invert it. So now right now it's really smooth, soft, masking. Manually creating this mask is very difficult, so this is something you can use it. Then press W from your gizmo. It's like a C center, and like for moving anything with the help of gizmo, make sure your gizmo is at your bone position, like wherever you're thinking your character have bone, and from where it's going to bend, you should have that pivot point there. So for moving that, you can press Alt and move this gizmo and place it wherever you want, like this. Like in my case, this is like completely fine. Then you can see this circle is basically world rotation, like based on your camera angle, and this red, green, blue are basically XYZ standard to all the software. So you can see I can rotate my model. There's no distortion. There's subtle distortion here. Then deselect, select the base, and shift, control and alt together. Delete this mask. Then Q, soften, like blur, invert, blur again, invert. This time I'll move this thing. So now this gizmo is already rotated, and you want to make it reset the gizmo based on the camera angle, or like center of the character. Alt click on this orientation, or reset the orientation. It will fix. Then press Alt and move it from wherever you want to modify the character. I just moved it, and I can move. Let's see. Maybe something like this. It's too much. Deselect. If you want to move the fin, you can do that as well. Put I want to move the fin. Okay, everything is same. So what I'll do, I just select my pen, blur nicely, invert, blur mask, W, Alt, reset, and move it here and slightly bend it just to get the feel like it's bending. See, so like you have nice soft bend. So once you're done with that, like suppose this is like, okay, this is my pose, or you are happy, or anything, like you want to create something like this, then what you can do is then go to Z plugin T pose subtool basically. Click on this, it will project everything on your existing model and transfer all the details. So you can see now your poly painted mesh is with that pose. It's a very simple process. You have to go to T pose and modify the model, and then you can come back to your actual pose and modify it again. So you can do it very easily, and but still okay. So you have posed something, but if suppose you want to modify, you want to render it out. In that case, what you have to do is, like if you want to render it out, what can be done is either you switch on perspective, you can switch on that, and this is something personally what I prefer. I prefer to change the background to like flat gray, flat gray color. This is something you can do it. with the help of this very easily. So you can see now flat gray. Then I want to render this thing out. So what I'll do, I'll set up some light, like maybe from front, like same basic technique, 3-point lighting. So, but rendering it out in ZBrush 3-point lighting, you just don't create three lights here. Like you can do that, but that won't give you the desired result, because ZBrush works entirely differently from other software. So you can, so best thing is, best practice is, you can render out the passes from ZBrush and compile them in Photoshop, and then create your final output. So that is like way easier and way convenient to do it. So first thing first is, I'll go and check my file size by document size, because your renders are directly dependent on your document size. Like whatever you are going to render, it will be of this size, not above, not beyond this. So you need to increase the size. Just press new. So you can see everything is jagged, it looks blurred and everything. So no need to worry about that. Go and check. So suppose you are happy with this thing size scale. So what you can do, press Control N and drag. So it will recreate your model, and now you have this same shark in a bigger file. But you have to check the like file size and your model size. So go to documents once again, zoom, or you can just use this zoom out. Now you can see this border is basically your file size, and your model is way too tiny, so render will be really small. Then control alt together and right mouse button, zoom into your model, zoom into your model. So one light you have set it, right? You can use it directly. And now you can, what you can do is, to check the lighting, shift R or this BPR button. You can see instantly it rendered out. You can see some shadow, inside part become dark. You have got all these shadows and all. So you can just go to render. You can go and check render properties. So by default ambient occlusion is off. If you want, you can switch it on. And if you, then now if you go to render passes, BPR render passes, you can see all the passes are there. Ambient occlusion and triple S is not there. So ambient occlusion and triple S we're not going to use. Ambient occlusion we're going to use. Triple S we're not going to use. So what I'll do, once I switch on that, I have to re-render the model, because right now you can see under render AO is empty. So I'll go click on this once again. It will render. It will take some. AO increase the render time. Because you can see in our render we have this nice rim light. So that is something we are planning to create. But you can see the light is coming from front, this side, this direction. You have this light also reflection. From base also you have this nice light. From top also you have this nice rim light. So that is something we have to create. So what I'll do now, I can see I have all the passes. So I can go and create file, like compose this composite image, and your this is shaded image. These two are exactly the same image except the background. So either I can export this or I can export this, any one of them. No need to export both of them. Go. By default it might show you JPEG. Save it as PSD, not JPEG. So it will export the like all the information in PSD. Render. Just click depth, save. Render, shadow, ambient occlusion, and mask. So it exports. You can see exported all the maps. here directly, all the maps. Now, I want that rim light, nice rim light. So what I'll do for that, without changing my model, moving anything, I'll go to light and move the light below, and now you can see the lights coming from the below, from the front. So I want this light from the back side of the model. Go to light, click on this dot, just click, one single click. It will become a, well, it will go start casting light, emitting light from the back side. And then you can just move. If you move inside, it will create a sharper rim light. And intensity you can control with the help of intensity. You can see nice bright rim light. If you want, you can reduce it slightly. So once you're happy with this, go to render properties, switch off ambient occlusion, because you don't need ambient occlusion once again, because that is something already rendered out, right? So switch off, go to BPR. This is the easiest process I'm telling you. You can you can export the model with polypaint and render it out in Keyshot or some other third-party software. You can do that as well. Okay, now I have this lighting. So out of this, I don't need anything apart from shadow. I don't need anything else. Shadow, name it shadow 1. Okay. Now go to light, move it up. I want this nice light slightly from the above, quite strong light. If I want, I can reduce it, I can do things. Then BPR. Without AO, it will render quite quickly. So you can see you got this nice rim light going throughout. Render only shadow. So basically, shadow have the shadow information. Wherever it's casting the shadow and wherever it have highlight, that part it will store only that information. So if you want, you can add more lights, create multiple things, and you can add color, whatever you want. You can do things and you can modify things very easily. So now I have rendered all those passes. So what I'll do, I'll go to like this thing, my wherever I have files. So what I usually prefer select everything, because I have installed a plugin Sage Thumbs. It's a small free plugin. If it gives you option directly right click on your any image format and convert it into JPEG, BMP, PNG format. So I can just simply go and convert this to JPEG format, or you can just simply import open the PSDs and work on them. So PSDs are quite heavy, so I'm preferring I can use JPEG. That will give me like way more flexibility. So you can see what I did. I just rendered one with a proper front lighting, and two from backlight, to just to add those detail, like those sharp highlight. So three renders in total. Then I open all the files. So now what I'll do, I'll just check. This is my composite one. This one is my actual file. So I can keep it corner. And one by one, I'll start adding, drag and drop by pressing Shift. all the images inside this file. So first thing first, what you have to do is, not this one, mask. This mask is basically the cutout of the entire model. So what you can do, either you can just like select on this layer, go to channel, control click on any of the layer, it will select the white area. Then go to your actual layer. I just simply duplicate and press on mask. So it will instantly create that mask, and for this I can fill this gray color. So now I can see it's a single clean layer file. So now this mask is not required anymore. And then I'll press Alt and click on this mask and drag onto all the layers just to duplicate. I'm just copying the mask everywhere. Now I have a separate background. If I want, I can go back and modify my background very easily. Now this is my one of the light. So light goes as screen. Apply screen. You can see instantly I got this lighting. Then, and not necessarily you have to use everything. If you want to use, you can use, definitely you can use it. This is ambient occlusion. So if suppose you want, and this is your no, this, sorry, this is your ambient occlusion. I'll switch on this and multiply it. It will give me a little bit more depth, nice clean depth. That is totally again up to me. If I want to use it, I can use it, or I can just leave it there. One more thing is very important. This depth. This depth map gives you nice depth. Right now you can see the entire model looks in like kind of similar tone throughout. If you click this, you can see the center part is most brightest and rest everything is a bit darker. Switch on and multiply. Instantly have this nice volume-ish. So I'll move it down on my actual composite layer and reduce the intensity because I don't want to make it that dark. Or if I want, I can edit the mask as well. Like press B, like then like center part I want to keep it really white, and like corners I can, what I want I can just keep it white. You can see full white, and corners are really dark. I don't want to keep it that dark. Oh, my mistake. You have this. Oh, so X. So I'm just painting black here just to reduce the depth. Alt click on this mask and you can see what I am doing. I'm just editing the mask and making sure it's not that dark. See, only the corners little bit darker, so it gives me more dimension, more detail. Then you have this one more this thing, shadow. Like if you want to increase the shadow, you can do that, or if you suppose want to use this nostril only, you can mask out and use that. So as of now it's not required. Then will switch to another light and screen. So you got this screen also. If I press Z and click on 100%, you can see it's quite big and detailed. So this one is I am not using, so you can just see the difference like clearly. Control J. Control G. So you can see the clear difference. Got this nice shadow and all. Now if you want, you can add any background to it. You can want to create some other like 2 3 poses and render it out. You can do that as well. So you can modify your things, and like suppose you want to modify the color of the eye, or want to modify the body color or anything, you can do that as well. You have all these options in Photoshop. Like this orange reddish also looks bad. Like you want to increase the blueness, you can do that, reduce it, make it red, any color. So you can like modify things very easily because Photoshop gives you more options. You can do that very easily. So change your color, change your things, modify, mask it should so that it doesn't affect entire model like scene. And if you have some underwater scene painted, or if you want to paint something, you want to paint, you can paint that as well. Like suppose I want to paint with some ocean, some bluish something. On myself darker. So you can see modifying this like quite easy. You can change color, you can modify things. If you want to add some pattern or something, you can do that as well. So that is something you guys already aware of. This is how you basically render out your high poly model, and with color, without color, and how this is how you render your basically high poly model with the help of Photoshop. So with in different channels. Just simply save this. Okay. So that is like how we you do it in ZBrush. So for this, we can just simply switch on new, initialize, and create a new ZBrush. Okay. Now we have this character. Let's plan out this thing. How we are going to go about it and going to create this character. Okay. So you can see it's a basic human character, normal, bit muscular, heroic pose. It's a hero character. You have like a nice bulky, beefy muscle. So and like really flowy, long hair. This will be a bit tricky to create, and it will be difficult. But that's something we can do. We can manage because this particular character don't have a lot of elements, so we can focus on those things areas, but it needs a lot of precision to create this. So because you can see all hard surface like boots, all these ornaments and all this like armor thing, it will take a lot of time to polish and clean and make it really nice in ZBrush. We're not going to do it in Max or Maya or any other software. Yes, you can go to any other software. Suppose you are facing problem to create this shape in ZBrush, you can create the base in Max and import it into ZBrush and use it. That is something is totally acceptable. That is something like most of the artists do it whenever they face any problem to create anything in ZBrush. They go back to like 3D software, create that basic structure, import it into ZBrush, Dynamesh, and then start sculpting on that. So for this we are going to create like we usually when you are in industry 99% time you will be provided with a very good quality low poly base model with proper UVs, unwrap and loops and everything. But that is something we're not going to do. But we can use the base model available in ZBrush. So like suppose you go to ZBrush and go to tools. You see you have a basic model, any one of them, and this is already super average, like it's already in super human proportion. Double click and drag and open T. So you can see this model in reality doesn't have any detail, just the basic blocking. You have the landmark nose, lips, eyes, ear, hand, fingers. You can see these are like boxes only boxes. The basically only the basic body structure, nothing else. So we are going to use the base because this is something already available in ZBrush, but we are totally free to use it. Like, we are not going to download something and use it. No, that will be really bad, and we can see this topology is not correct. So this is just the base. It's giving us just the basic structure so that we can work on this and start building our entire model. And you can see, excuse me, you can see our model, it's in a post position, and we don't have any other reference for this. So we have a lot of creative freedom in that manner. So if you want to modify something in face, or if you want to change something, like this is, like you see the features are really sharp. If you don't, you want to make it a little bit more beefy or a little more bulky, you are totally allowed to do that. Like, suppose this is your basic structure, and in this character, if you suppose you want to add a overcoat or some other armor, or if you want to reduce the hair size scale, you are totally allowed to do that. So what will happen, first of all, it's a 2D reference. So we're converting this into 3D, so it's going to be original 3D artwork anyways. There, because your uniqueness in your portfolio is also very important, because if suppose all of you have exact same models, exact same characters or like environment in your portfolio, then that time what will happen, industry, like whenever you apply for job, people will start comparing. Okay, this is good, this is not good, this is like average, and all those things they start comparing. So you can use the basic learning, basic fundamentals, and then add your own things, little bit of whatever you like suppose you like wings, or you like crown, or something else. You have the total freedom to add that. So by that, what will happen, basic structure will follow this, will create this entire thing, or I'm going to follow this entire reference. If you want to modify few things, add few things here and there, you're totally allowed. So base should be this, and then you can modify this with other stuff. Like suppose instead of this pants you want to create a dhoti, you can totally allowed to do that. You can do that. Or we can suppose add a necklace or something, you can totally allowed to do that. Or you want to add a armor, that's a chest armor or something, or armlet or anything, you are totally allowed to do that. Add those things, modify and make it your own. So always improvise your like model. That's what I prefer. Inspiration is always good, taking reference is always good, and you should always always have reference, because without reference blindly we cannot work. We need to have a reference. And this is a posed model, but we are doing it T pose. So like we check everything according to this model, like this hand, this position and this position entirely different. To create this, I have to turn the model like this and check this angle like this. Then I have to create the entire model. So like this, I'll showcase the how to create this entire model on this base model. Shift that. Let me check the loops. Okay, loops are somewhat correct. It's not that bad. Like pace loops, it's really low poly. You can see it's really low poly. 3,498 points only. And nowadays, most of the heroic characters and AAA characters, they have around almost a 1 lakh polygons. So you can understand this is really low poly. There's no details, nothing is there. You just have the basic blocking. So this is like a good starting point. And based on this, you can create the shape. And when we're going to start this, we're going to start in non-perspective mode, orthographic view, and start sculpting the basic model. Like from today's time is anyways over. From today, we going to I'm going to upload this reference in this folder, like your folders in Google Drive. Just download this and check the reference. And if you want to modify something, or if you want some other references, you can do. You're totally free to go, totally free to collect more references and create this. And like for here, you want to modify anything, so that. and from tomorrow we'll start our character, and like properly we'll start, and like this is something you have to do it every day, because otherwise like catching up or finishing things will become very difficult. So because characters are really demanding, and initially you might feel this looks okay but simple, but once we get into like muscle detail and skin detail, cloth folds, your metal should look like metal, so all those things will start creating, that time will become very complicated. So and it's very demanding. So make sure put like every day 2 3 hours you have to you spend, and like no matter what, like you can ask me same things again and again, I'll showcase those things again and again, but try to like finish things on time and deliver it on time. Otherwise it will be very difficult to like finish, because the character texturing also will take a lot of time. Your modeling, like after high poly you have to retopo the model and create a low poly also, so that will going to take some time as well, at least a week. So 1 week for like low poly model, what your around 1.5 or 1.5 week for your texturing, and we have this around like 3 week or 4 week for our high poly character. So you can understand how the quality of high poly character we are expecting. So we're going to create something like that, really great, really good detailed character with all skin detail and information, everything properly. And there are multiple techniques, so I'll show you all the techniques. You can use any one of them. So be attentive and like practice. It's all about that practice. Okay, then I'll see you guys.
So we all are doing the same character. Or,
Like this is you can use for the base, like base structure you can use, then you can modify it. If you want to use create something entirely different, so what will happen, like because then I have to for your character, suppose you will have some different queries or different problems, then
mm-hmm.
we have to work on that model separately again, right?
Okay.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
use
Yes,
the
sir.
base model, like
Uh-huh.
stick to the base model, then
Mm-hmm.
you can modify things. Like suppose you
Okay.
don't like the costume, you can change the
Okay.
costume. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like the weapon, change the
Mm-hmm.
weapon. If you
Yes.
don't like the hair, change the hair. That's totally fine.
Okay.
Basic body structure, stick to that. Rest we can modify.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'll,
sure.
okay. Based on that, if you want to modify anything, collect references, and tomorrow we'll meet and start building our entire character.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I'll
Thank.
see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Tata.
sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.